Okay, so we're middle of Moitzoi Shabbos. This is one of the fascinating parts of the Sefer, as we mentioned last week, that you would think, where do you begin? Oh, Zish. You would think, where do you begin? You think you begin Erev Shabbos. So we began learning in the Hakdama how important it is to prepare for Shabbos. But then we segued directly into Moitzoi Shabbos. And the first parak, he teaches us the mahos, the avodah of Motzei Shabbos. And we learned that Motzei Shabbos is the beginning of the avodah. The Motzei Shabbos, what do we have to do? We have to take what we had on Shabbos. We have to bottle it up. And we have to utilize it to go into the work week. And he taught us a fascinating idea that particularly at this moment of darkness, at Motzei Shabbos, when we feel like we just lost our Neshama Yisera, we just went from a beautiful spiritual Shabbos, we went for a time not worrying about business and not worrying about this world. At that deep, dark moment, with a bit of focus, at that moment, we could go and enter into the week on a high. So let's pick it up from Ice Gimel. I think we did Ice Gimel, but Ice Gimel a little paved the way, which is Hashem Yisbarach Itach. Truth is, this Ice Gimel is one of those ideas that we can learn and relearn again, as we'll see in a moment. Says the Biyam Darkecha on the bottom of page Mem Zayin. If you only know this Yizoid, V'yavan, and you understand, Shashem Yisbarach loy oizev oiti. Hashem never leaves me. V'oiroi, and his light nishar oiti remains with me. Ba'oifen bidiyok, with that same level of intensity. If you just have that knowledge, hu yachol lehitkaber ala koishi. With that itself, you'll be able to be strengthen yourself against the kushi, against the difficulty. V'adarabo, yuchol edrayme me'oid dafko b'maitzai Shabbos. Because you know the darkness doesn't distance you. Elo, what is the purpose of the darkness? What is the purpose of feeling so low and so far? Shabbos, to awaken us. Lahachnes as Arshal Shabbos, to introduce the light of Shabbos. Don't allow Shabbos to stay superficial. Don't allow Shabbos to remain on Shabbos. Take Shabbos and push it deeper and deeper into our heart. And it will allow us to acquire Amunah, faith in God, in a greater depth. That it will lighten up even when things are dark. It's true. It's not Shabbos anymore. So it's true that the Avodah right now indeed changes. Mikol makom Hashem yisparach be'atzmoi nishar itoch. Hashem Himself stays with us. That never changes. V'adarabo. Achshav ata yochel alot yoter. You can go even higher. V'lizkois and temerit lachis and Hashem yisparach. And now, particularly at this moment of difficulty and darkness, this moment when you don't see Hashem, this moment when you go from this most exalted feeling of Shabbos into the difficult week, at that moment, you can merit to live with God. Lo yirak b'Shabbos. Shabbos is easy. Shabbos is no work, there's no bills, there's supposed to be no worries. Shabbos is created inherently to be a bit ruchni, to be spiritual. But you know what you could do at that moment? If you take Shabbos on a Motzei Shabbos, Liskoit Lachiyos Esohemes, you can live with the truth, Gam, B'toich Yemei Achol, during the week. You'll be clinging, you'll be one. During the darkness. And you're going to be successful. To feel Hashem. V'liroy says yadai, and to see Hashem's hand. Can you imagine? Can you imagine if you're walking down the street and someone says, "You look like you're walking with someone"? What's going on here? Yeah, I'm walking. What do you mean What do you mean you don't see Hashem's hand? He's pushing. He's holding my hand. Leroy's, you can see it. You can feel it. It's a tangible, visceral reality. B'chol inyanim all week. V'gam b'dvarim shenir kiteva. Even things, they seem like teva. It seems I water the plants and they grow. It seems I take the medicine, I get better. It seems I get a good job, I make money. Really? Is that what happens? Of course not. V'lischos, you'll merit loving to understand, ulahargish, and to feel. V'lachayois, in the highest level. To live with God, Shakol Zerak or Hashem Yisparach. What is everything? Everything is the light of God. It looks like someone else is doing it. It looks like my boss handed me the paycheck. Look at that water the plants. Really? No, Hashem does it. So it looks like I'm doing it. Of course not. And in truth, this paragraph is a paragraph probably have to chazer again and again and again. The very, very basic, the yesodis of everything is this realization that if we think about the moment that we felt God the most, that exact same thing is at every moment, even at the darkest moment. And we use the mashal, which we used on Shabbos. Let's go even deeper. He's talking about on a regular Shabbos. When perhaps is the time that we can feel Hashem the most? Maybe we're standing there in the Elah, that final moment, that final Hashem Elohim, that final Baruch Shem. Maybe that split moment is the one moment of the whole year that God is tangible to us, that life is clear, that we actually can feel Hashem. That exact same level is always, even at the moment of the darkest of the dark. It's just dark. We just don't see Hashem. So what we need to do is we have to realize that Hashem at every moment is that same level as He feels, even when it's so dark and low. And we continue with Ois Daled. Hachnasa Sa'ar, entering into the light to Tchilas Havana L'Shabbos Haba. So now we learned that Motzoi Shabbos is not the moment where Shabbos ends. Motzoi Shabbos is not the moment when it should be the darkest and furthest. Motzoi Shabbos, we're beginning to prepare for the next week. This is all preparations for what? Lizchais to merit l'madriga shel Shabbos haba, for the next week. Kal yedei shenatzliach lishmar b'toichenu. If we're successful to guard inside of us, esar shel Shabbos shevra, whatever we got out of a Shabbos, whatever little bit it is, if we take that little bit and we successfully hold on to it, like nice and to acquire it, nizke, we're gonna merit Hashem Yisbarach Yisgale b'Shabbos haba b'dargis or yoser gavaya. Incredible. Shabbos just became not an isolated entity, not a once a week, a boost and a splat back down. No. Shabbos just became an elevation, a beautiful entity, and then we take it, we hold it, we put it into the work week during that dip, and it holds us. So the next Shabbos we go back up, and then what happens is it's not constantly falling back down. It's always growing a little bit higher. Now it's true there might be dips because during the week Lamaisa it's more difficult. But if on our Motzai Shabbos we bring Shabbos into the work week, then it will successfully allow us to hold on to a little bit of them. The next week we're not starting from scratch. That right now Motzai Shabbos Namol. We toil liknois says Arshal Shabbos to acquire the light, and to live with it. During the dark work week. What are we doing? We're preparing a vessel to be fit lekabel or gadol yoser. The next week even greater va'amok yoser and even deeper. The Shabbos haba. It's not just finishing Shabbos. Elhu be'ikr, what is Motzei Shabbos? Techilas ha'avodah chadasha shel Shabbos haba. We're beginning the next week. We have to use all our strength to do that. So now let's go one step deeper. And now he talks to the difficulty of a Motzei Shabbos. So lamaisa, ma la'asotim akushi. What do we do with the difficulty? Shamurgish Masay Shabbos. This all sounds nice. This all sounds flowery. This all sounds beautiful. But Lamaisa comes Matzai Shabbos, comes Havdalah, the phone turns on, the emails come in. All of a sudden, you realize, listen, it might have been nice to pretend I don't have issues, but guess what? I got a lot of them. It might have been nice to pretend I don't have all the work week piling up, but I do. So that feeling hits deep. What do I do right now? Says the Biyam Gerchecha. That which we now understand. You're not going to fall from that feeling. Ella, rather. So again, let's realize the feeling is real. It's true. You feel low. It's true. It feels difficult. But what do you do with that feeling? Yachlit. You make a decision. Liftoyach ba'avoida, to open up with avoida, with serving Hashem. Im she'ifo matorah chadasha, with a newfound purpose. Belilosim leiv lakushim. Don't think about the difficulties. V'yachlit, and you decide lahamshich, to continue, lachyois, to live in Hashem Yisparach, kimoi b'Shabbos, just like on Shabbos. Avada, this is a very, very high level. This is where the tzaddikim live. A tzaddik, as we've seen, his begeder Shabbos, Kodesh, a tzaddik mamish could feel this at his Avdallah. And yes, on a Tuesday, you could see the tzaddik, and he has that same radiance and the same countenance and the same peace of mind as he does on Shabbos. What we're learning right now is that we all, at some level, when we feel that difficulty on a Motzei Shabbos, we can make a decision. And as we saw, the chiddush that maybe we started this whole sefer with, that where does it all begin? It doesn't begin, believe me, like many people would think, oh, you have to start by feeling it. No, it begins with the intellect. It begins with the mayach. It begins with understanding these ideas conceptually. What is this idea? We're understanding that it all is Hashem, and we can make a conscious decision to live my week at some element like Shabbos. This is the explanation. They feel very dark and low. Confusion and darkness. And there's even great people. And they mamish feel like they're hit by a truck. Why? Because sins. Is and it comes out ironic. Maybe one actually knows about Shabbos. Maybe one actually has a beautiful Shabbos. Maybe one actually spends Shabbos not thinking about the work week, actually elevated in davening and learning. And mamish a gavaldiga Shabbos. But what happens? You know what happens inevitably? When the light is removed, it's no longer all spiritual. It's no longer Shabbos-dik. So it could come out incredible. You could have the most incredible Shabbos, and that could fuel the worst week ahead. What happened? Oh, what happened? Shabbos is the shefa and the bracha for the whole week. What happened? I had such a good Shabbos. Why doesn't it fuel my week? Well, it could. You need to make a decision. If you try to work on your Motzei Shabbosim, Motzei Shabbos is not just finishing Shabbos. Sha'oz then, ha'eder ar kashem ha'id. If Motzei Shabbos is just the end of it, the mashal we give, you're finishing a vacation, you're away for a week. The last day, what is the last day of a vacation? The last day is, I'm just losing my peace. I'm losing my relaxation. Of course, it's difficult. So what do? You think, achshav, now, miyad, right away. Ani matchil es avodah shel Shabbat haba. Right now, Motzei Shabbos, I'm starting next week. Va'avodah achshav, and what's the avodah right now? Lishmar al or, to keep the light, to lachem liknoisa, and to battle to acquire it. Im yachshav kach, if you think this, ze yoyrid eloyes hakushi, this will minimize the difficulties. Keep it oifin kozeh, because in this way, hadam nichnas la'avodah shel Motzei Shabbos into nufa v'schadshos. You could have a renewal on Motzei Shabbos. And then, afilu miyish beliba, even if you have in your heart, hargosh shel choshech, You feel dark. Mikol makom hu mivin shachoshech eina amiti. You know it's not real. You know it's not true. And you know that what? Most importantly, Hashem is Hashem's not leaving me, so why am I feeling this way? And you stand yourself. You're a warrior, you're a battler, you're a warrior going out to battle. You stand there, Motzei Shabbos. You got your new battle charge. You got your new mission. What am I doing? I'm going up to battle this week. Lishmar ala or, to keep the light. Shus ane galav b'Shabbos. V'leiknoisoi ulachnisoi afilu b'makaymes hester. And the truth is, this is actually a trick, kaviyachol, in the smallest of ways one can even use on that vacation. What does one do? They're away for a week, a beautiful vacation, time off, everything was great. And they know the time is winding down. And they turn to their spouse. They say, this has been so beautiful. We actually have to spend time and we connected and it was amazing. But you know what? We're going to go back to our difficult lives and all the challenges and problems. What do? They make a decision right then. They say, when's the next vacation? We're going away in another 6 months. Okay, let's start the planning right now. So that what they did is they just transformed their mindset. Then instead of leaving everything behind, no, we're taking it with us and we're going to work through it to get to the next stage. Obviously, that's a very poor muscle, but in a very great way. What are we doing on a Motzei Shabbos? What are we doing? We walk into a work week. You know what we're doing? We're saying Shabbos was amazing, was holy, was spiritual, was gewaldic. I lived with God. I understood the real reality of this world. And guess what? That reality never changes. Hashem runs the world on a Tuesday like he runs it on a Shabbos. Hashem just makes it a little bit easier for us to see it on Shabbos. That's true. So what do we have to do? We have to try our hardest. And as we always mention, this is the very basics of all Amunah and Bitachon of our whole life is to what? Is to realize that yes, Hashem is holding my hand. That yes, it is difficult and there are bills and there are complications and there are lack of shidduchim and lack of health and chinuch problems and health problems. And it's true, it's all there. But what is it all? Of course, it's all being controlled by Hashem. All we are those kelim, are those vessels to make it happen. So on a Motzei Shabbos, we stand there and we make a decision right now. I'm going out to battle. It's going to be a difficult week. Yes, I'm going to turn on, and maybe this is a thought one has to have. That moment before he turns on the computer, before he opens his phone, and before he gets inundated with all the difficulties and all the challenges and all the details, he has to stop and he has to say, 1 second, what is it all? Is it all real? I'm about to sit here and read bill after bill. I'm about to open the bill. What is it? Yes, it's a bill. And yes, I have to pay it. And yes, I have to figure it out. And yes, I have to be responsible. And yes, I have to do my ishtadlus. But pause for a moment and realize HaKadosh Baruch Hu loy oizev oisi. Hashem never leaves me. God held my hand before and God will hold my hand tomorrow. Hashem made me get through the last one. Will make me get through this one. Hashem on Shabbos, which is a little bit easier. And if we have such a mindset, now Motzei Shabbos, what happens is it can be completely transformed. It will still be difficult. You'll still have that feeling. Because in Mirz Hashem, we're going to have the most beautiful Shabbosim, and when you have such a beautiful Shabbos, inevitably you're going to fall. But before you fall, catch yourself and say to yourself, 1 second, I have so much in my tank. I'm so filled up with ruchnius. I feel so filled up with spirituality on a Shabbos. I feel so close to Hashem. I think about it over Shabbos, realizing, and as we said, you talk to Hashem, and you realize that yes, Hashem makes everything work. So then on a Motzei Shabbos, you pause and you take that feeling and you take that reality and you take that understanding and you say, I'm going to try to carry this with me throughout the week. And then if you utilize all the tools that we were speaking about, that throughout the week, you try to have constant road stops, constant pauses. Yes, it's a Sunday getting to where? To Shabbos. It's Yom Shlishi to where? To Shabbos. Yes, and Aleinu Ein Oid, everything is HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We constantly pause and remind ourselves, and we tell ourselves that yes, we could have that feeling. Yes, we could be those tzaddikim, believe it or not. They'll live Shabbos the whole week. We could do it. It's not so difficult. It's thought, it's realization, it's conversation with Hashem. And hopefully, if we start at the right point, don't wait until it's too late. We were so proud of ourselves when we started this year. We said, oh, Tuesday night, we're starting to be meichen for Shabbos. No, we missed the boat. Motzei Shabbos, we start to be meichen for Shabbos. At Avdallah, we start. And now, Tuesday night, now we have a boost. Now we have a way to take what we did on the Motzai Shabbos and carry us through, hopefully, with Siyata Dishmaya. Each and every week, we'll elevate ourselves a little bit more, a little bit closer, a little bit greater. And our Shabbosim will stop being ups and all the way downs. They'll grow off of each other. And Mir Hashem making us greater, closer, and feeling that connection. With Siyata Dishmaya.